All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, thank you for joining me live on tonight's program. I am yours truly, Dubia Mbawuni Bakutuma na Atabia II, the youth president. The Mamprugu prayer. Lord, you are our strength, you are our truth, you are our power, and you are our wisdom. May we dwell upon you and your glory and love and rebuild Bawku. May we learn, remember, and share your word, truth, peace, and nonviolence, and follow your ways all of our days. Lord, you go on ahead and prepare the way for us. May we obey you with confidence, faith, and truth. You make a way for us where there seems no way. May we remain faithful to you and never lack wisdom, shelter, good health, and daily bread. May generations after us build upon the foundation our forefathers laid for the construction of Bawku, the land of Nagbewa and his son, the Nayiri of Mamprugu. May I, your humble servant, trust you always. My dear brothers and sisters, in this month of August, beginning today, we are going to discuss a book written by the Kusasis for the Kusasis, telling the Kusasis story, the Kusasis history. Beginning tonight, we will use this program to let the world know the solution to the Bawku conflict. And that solution is not coming from the Mamprusis. That solution, as far as Voice of Mamprugu is concerned, is coming from the Kusasis. And the Kusasis solution is the truth. The Kusasis solution is the truth. And Voice of Mamprugu associates itself with the Kusasi solution. Now, I know you may be wondering, what is the Kusasi solution? And why is it the truth? And why is Voice of Mamprugu associating itself with the Kusasi's solution? It is very simple. We want the conflict in Bawku to resolve once and for all. We want peace. We want the criminals to stop whatever they are doing and allow innocent persons to have peace, enjoy life, and also build a future. Again, Voice of Mamprugu, we have always stood for peace. In fact, we've also always stood for truth, and truth is the foundation of this program. So again, beginning tonight, my dear brothers and sisters, you would not want to miss any program beginning tonight until we all see the truth and accept the truth and allow peace to reign in Bawku. This is the book titled The Kusasis, An Indigenous Perspective. This is the book titled The Kusasis, An Indigenous Perspective. The solution of the Bawku conflict is in this book. If you are a Kusasi, do your best and get this book and read it. Asantehene should do his best and get this book and read it. President John Dramani Mahama should do his best and get this book and read it. The Mamprusis should do their best and get this book and read it. The solution is in this book. This is another book about the history of the Kusasis, about the history of Bawku. It is titled The Kusasis, A Short History. And this was written in 1932 by J.K.G. Syme. This work of Syme is 93 years old. 93 years old. 4 years ago, I remember telling the world that the problem of Bawku, the conflict between the Mamprusis and the Kusasis, is in this book. At the same time, I did say that the solution is also in this book. Today, I am adding this book to tell Ghanaians, to tell the world, to tell the Kusasis, to tell the Mamprusis, to tell the President of the Republic of Ghana, to tell the Asantehene that the problem of Bawku is in this book created by Syme. The solution to the conflict in Bawku is in this book provided by Syme. The solution to the conflict of Bawku is in this book provided by the the Kusasis. So as I said, beginning tonight, we will try to take maybe a week, if not less or more. Let me say, if more, 2 weeks, if less, 10 days, to use this book and that book to resolve the Bawku conflict. Ladies and gentlemen. But before I go into discussing this book, let me see, what we're going to do tonight is that I want to explain to you everything about this book, the authors, the meaning of the titles. We'll talk about the preface, the foreword, and all that. So tonight is just about this book. Not necessarily the content of this book, but this particular book. We're just talking about this book. You need to understand this book before we go into the content. I have already decoded chapter 1, and I'm thinking whether I should share chapter 1 with you tonight, or I should make it a different program tomorrow. We shall see. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start tonight's program with a reminder of the unfortunate demise of our brothers, 8 of our brothers, 2 ministers, 2 or 3 army officers, and then 3 other government appointees. May their soul rest in perfect peace. May Almighty Allah forgive them their sins and be merciful to them, ladies and gentlemen. I also want to start tonight's program with a video from one of the schools in the Bawku traditional area. Let's listen to these kids, what they said, ladies and gentlemen.
I promise on my honor to be faithful and loyal to Ghana, my motherland. I pledge myself to the service of Ghana with all myself and with all my heart. I promise to hold my ISC, our heritage more God, to the blood and blood of others, and I pledge myself in all things to uphold and defend the good name of Ghana. So let me go.
Let them go back. Let them go back. Okay, thank you very much. You may sit. Okay. So next on our program lineup, we are going to call on Khalid Zulkarnain. He is coming here to say a little dua for the founder of this noble institution, Alhaji Masood Justice. So let's welcome Zulkarnain Khalid to come and say a little dua for him. Come. You and one person. Come, hurry up. Go on, come. Go ahead.
I am not grateful of having this opportunity to stand here and give a dua for the founder of this noble institution. So let's all be in the mood of prayer. اللهم رحمتك ومغفرتك للحاج مسعود جاستس وجميع المسلمين المتوفين وجعلهم في المقام مقبولين ومغفر لهم. اللهم كرم نزلهم ووسع مدخلهم واغسلهم بالماء والثلج والبرد ونكهم من الذنوب والهدايا كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس. اللهم كرم نزلهم ووسع مدخلهم واغسلهم بالماء والثلج والبرد ونكهم من الذنوب والهدايا كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس. اللهم إنا نسألك أن تبدل الحاج وجميع المسلمين درا خيرا من ديارهم وأهلا خيرا من أهلهم وزوجا خيرا من زوجهم اللهم اجعل قبورهم روضة من الرياض الجنة وجنبهم عذاب القبر وعذاب النار اللهم اجعل الحاج مسعود جسس وجميع المسلمين من الذين يذلهم الله في ظله يوم لا ظلا إلا ظله وأدخلهم الفردوس الأعلى بلا سابقة العذاب اللهم اجعلنا في جنات النعيم واجعلنا وإياهم من الصالحين الذين يتناعمون بنظرة وجهك الكريم
Okay. So somebody may be seeing that we are in school and then we are always doing this kind of recitation. So part of our program, the theme of this program, we are guided by the Quran and strengthening by what? Education. So this institution is an Islamic institution.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Justice Educational Complex. It is one of the best schools in the Bawku traditional area that you will need to send your kid there if you want the best for him or her. Ladies and gentlemen. Once again, tonight we're going to talk about this book. I'm going to share with you a lot that you need to know about this book. And let me repeat, the solution of the Bawku conflict between the Mampusis and the Kusasis is in this book. This book is written by the Kusasis for the Kusasis, telling the Kusasi story. Let's listen to Asante Hine Otun for His Royal Majesty, what he said in June 15th, June 2023.
Kani Judicial Committee ekwe ne binu jisika ne ebu asem na aye nwonwan so ba e toto no bantane na nyina ti edi bu ama de odi fokura chia de odi bem mo nyina aso de nsatu eyem ko enu na ma sa ahensem ne ntokwa no base nkontompo no ba na ma no basa boko eguso afenia ma buso enu omodi afi na me bi hia yi nyina ya dia botre no no kredi ha obia ma obia ka obia ba kana asem ne eti na de enti a achia ma na basa na yakoni ehumu no kre me ne nairi wa ba me na di nkomo boko na ba wa ba me na di nkomo prisi ade she wo boko komo so aba me di nkomo ma krachifo ma akumi enu bi wo ma frɛ ne di nkomo say your paper be answer the about making kind in a real fee, your friend be a bishia, a big bean common, yet the no crana. You put some way, a big one said, as I'm not said in the crescent. You grew on the United States, the marshal young queen and sing, and in Tokwane, and when you try.
My dear brothers and sisters, God is truth, and truth is God. And whether you like Bakutoma or you don't like Bakutoma, Bakutoma will hold every soul, every individual, every person who has something to do about the Bawku conflict. Bakutuma will hold that person accountable. It doesn't matter who you are. Some people will swallow their own words. Some people will be choked by their own words. Some people will vomit and swallow and vomit and swallow and vomit their own words. We have nothing against anybody. All we want is the truth. His Royal Majesty the Asantehene in 2023, 2 years ago, appealed to all of us that we should be patient and seeking the truth about the Bawku conflict. We should be patient in seeking the truth about the Bawku conflict. In other words, as far as the Asantehene is concerned, the solution to the Bawku problem lies in searching for the truth. And the truth is here. The truth that we have told you that it is here. The problem and the solution is here. The lies and the truth is here. That we told Ghanaians and everybody, the Kusasis and the Mampusis, and they never took us serious. That truth can be found here. It has been confirmed here and revealed here. Let me play another video before we start to discuss the book.
Let us put the guns down. Let us use the evidence available to us, orally, documentally, and otherwise. And let us debate. Let the world know. If they want us to send the case to the court of public opinion, there are so many radio stations, so many television stations. I think the government or some other organizations can foot that bill and let them get their best historians and those who claim to know all the facts. And let us debate so that we can spare the lives of these innocent, young, bubbling men and women that were gunning down, destroying.
Yes, I'm a history student. When you come to history, much of the Kusasis is not known. The histories of the Kusasis are more or less like the conflict, and this current Bawku issue. But as a history student and a future leader to come, we want to know, because this is not only the environment. You might meet somebody somewhere who intends to know the real history of the Kusasis. In the documentaries we have, it is not clear. We can't trace the origin to a place where we can clearly say we came from. We don't know where we came from. As to whether we emanated from the ground, we came from Far East, we came from East Africa, North Africa, we don't know. You have learned more than us, and you have known the history for a long decades. We want to seek your opinion, if you can share that knowledge with us. Thank you.
Encourage you about the history is that we are not the only exception, but that is how it is, and it is because those who wrote the history, I mean the whites and so on, they focus more on the conflict and so on. But it is now time for us to write our own history, okay? And so we always start somewhere. And that's why the course you are doing is very important. And we will write our own history. We will try and trace our roots. History is about facts. So you can't just sit down and write what is from your head. We know that there are Kusasis in Burkina Faso, and early writers like Sai and Co. made reference to that. They suggested that we must have migrated from, Bimbo and so on, and so on. But there are things that we need to interrogate further. And so it is not something to regret. It has nothing to do with moving forward, and it is not late. We will do that. We need more people, more of our students to do history and know how to write history, know how to interview people and come up with history, read other historical sources.
Hey, my dear brothers and sisters. So that is Professor Aaron. And Professor Aaron said, history is about facts. The history of the Kusasis, written by the Kusasis, provides you the facts about the Kusasis. Even though they did propaganda also in this book, but for me, where they did the propaganda is not about history, so we can let that slide. But when you talk about the history of the Kusasis, the facts are here. Let me repeat. When you talk about the history of the Kusasis, the facts, the Kusasi facts about their own history is here. Professor Aaron, the gentleman you just listened to, is one of the authors of this book. They call them contributors. He is one of the contributors of this book. The young Kusasi guy who asks that question about the history of the Kusasis, where the Kusasis came from, whether they emanated from the ground, whether they came from the east, whether they came from whatever. Those questions, the answers to those questions can be found in this book. Ladies and gentlemen. All right. Now, I have a message for the Kusasis. A message from Lawyer Maxwell. Lawyer Maxwell sent me a message, and that he wants me to share the message with his fellow brothers, the Kusasis. So let's listen to Lawyer Maxwell message, then we'll go straight to business.
No. Kusating zina, kusating be, kusating down, and kusas born. Amen. Oye te kwelem di sugrutio ati udaba habela ba mo lebe ko katio ko nyambole te ka te bangale bi amale ni be ya ko sahe ko dia be ba no ro we hira so tonna na te nyesu ku pam ko te nya na tonche buni ta na tombon te nga ya sam tonne sam so te bam nam ne te ne pem te so ka pala le be na te nyesu guru Kimi Yesu ran beru be ne barekat ne ba heten la pala Amaya tin yasuguru kawena mi asake burgum pare dopi so ka na think say ma bem nam ne pela na morate ma hampam ama ka se lo ka tana so na yinga ya yam ne so ka pingo mu tu se na pa le tene pela so ka mo ma ham ama se ti kwenya suguru te ta ba ya ka wena mi asonge la ku yuwe tena le lepa ka ti ale pa ka wena mi ya ela kon ka ko sa ti ku ne tena ela kon wala kana no tena yela ba hawo so lene be lena ko ya barka pam
no jubilation. Anyway, that is from my brother Maxwell, Loyal Maxwell. He said he cherishes voice of Mampugu's program so much, and that he wants me to share his before message and now with his fellow kinsmen and women, the Kusasis. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to go into business. I'm taking my time because we're going to do justice to this. And I'm taking my time because, as I told you, we want nothing but the truth, nothing but peace, nothing but the solution to the Bawku conflict between the Mampusis and the Kusasis. Let me highlight one thing again before. In 2021, in 2021, I started a program called The Voice. In that program, I started discussing this book written by Syme in 1932, 93 years ago. And what I was doing then was to read word to word. I wasn't making any interpretation. I wasn't making any interpretation by saying that, Syme said this, and this is what he means. Or no. I was reading word to word. And I remember telling Ghanaians that the problem of the Bawku, chieftaincy conflict is in this book. It started by this book in 1932. The problem, the chieftaincy conflict, started in 1932. If you appreciate history, not 1957. It started in 1932. I will explain to you why. And again, I said the solution to that problem is also in this book. And I also told you that one thing that I like about this book is the honesty of the author. The honesty of the author. You see, you have to appreciate honesty. And for me, let me put it this way. If you insult me at my back and I get to hear about it, and I approach you, then you tell me that, yes, Bakutoma, truly, honestly, I insulted you at this place, and this was what I said. Now, whether you apologize to me or you don't apologize to me, I would appreciate your honesty than you trying to deny that, it is not true. You didn't insult me when you knew from the bottom of your heart that you are lying. Syme in this book exhibited honesty. in his inaccuracies, in his lies, and in the truth also that he provided in his book. We will get to know all that from here when I start discussing it. But I want to emphasize one thing. And I did remember when the mediation started or was about to start, I proposed to Asante Hene on this program. I said, listen, the easiest way and the best way is for Asante Hene to assemble the Mamprusis and the Kusasis, lock them in one room, and give this book to the Kusasis, the same book to the Mamprusis, and tell them, Kusasis, read this book and tell me what about this book that you agree and what about this book that you disagree. Mamprusis, also read this book and tell me what about this book that you agree and what about this book that you disagree. When you give that assignment to the Kusasi and the Mamprusis, you find the solution, the problem and the solution in this book. And why I said so is because Symes said, and I'll be reading what he said. He said this book or his work is full of inaccuracies. Inaccuracies. And that is the honesty about Symes that I love. And since Symes said it is full of inaccuracy, that's what I said. Give the books to the Kusasi. Kusasi, read it. Whatever you agree, you disagree from this book, the inaccuracies about you that you disagree, let us know. Mamprusis, the inaccuracies in this book that you disagree, let us know. Whatever are the facts that you Mamprusis agree, let us know. Whatever are the facts that you Kusasis agree, let us know. People did not see the wisdom in what I was telling them. The Kusasi themselves didn't see the wisdom. But God being so good, in trying to correct the inaccuracies in this book, they came out with this. All right. So, my dear brothers and sisters, as I said, beginning tonight and for the next 1 week or 2 weeks, we will be solving the Bawku conflict with the Kusasi solution in this book. And I'm going to make it rich. I'm going to make the program rich. It's an educative program. I'm going to make it rich, and as and when necessary, to support facts from here, we'll make references in this also, ladies and gentlemen. Now, tonight's program, as you all are aware, is titled Solving the Bawku Conflict with Kusasi Solution. And then the subheading is the Kusas, an Indigenous Perspective. The solution, the topic is influenced by this book. I read this book first time, and I'm reading it the second time. And then the second time that I'm reading it, I'm preparing my own notes. And the notes that I'm preparing is what I'm going to share with you. So, as I said, the solution to the Bawku conflict is in this book, and the solution is the Kusasi solution. What is the solution? Let me quote the Kusasis. Let's start with that. Let me quote the Kusasis, which is captured in this book. It says, one cannot become a chief without proof of owning land. One cannot become a chief without proof of owning a land. Now, this is very, very powerful. when I was reading the book and I got to this line, I said, oh, that is true. That is really true. The Mamprosis want to be Bawku chiefs. The Kusasis also want to be Bawku chiefs. Bawku is a land. So it makes sense that if you want to be a chief of Bawku, you must be able to prove that Bawku is your land. Either you are the first settlers, the indigenous people, or you conquered the first settlers, the indigenous people. These are the two ways. So for me, that is the solution to the Bawku conflict. You cannot become a chief without proof of owning a land. You cannot become a chief of Bawku without proof of owning a land. The Kusasis must prove to us that Bawku is their land. The Mamprosis must prove to us that Bawku is their land. I don't want to talk about the Mamprosis. I'm just saying that is the burden on them. The Kusasis, they have provided the proof in this book. All right, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, tonight we're just going to give some highlights about this book. Now, the book, as I keep on showing to you on the screen, is titled The Kusas and Indigenous People. An Indigenous Perspective. The Kusas and Indigenous Perspective. Now, we need to ask ourselves, what do the Kusasi, what do the contributors or the authors of this book mean when they say the Kusas? The Kusas, what does it mean? First of all, we need to understand that. The Kusasis, in their history book, this particular one, have made us to understand. It is documented. It is not more about oral. It is documented that when they say Kusas or the Kusas, it refers to the Kusasi people. The Kusasi people. So the Kusas are a people, or they are the people, the Kusasis that we are used to, the Kusasi. The Kusas are saying that the proper is the Kusas, the proper term is Kusas, not Kusasis. The book has a subheading, which is an indigenous perspective. An indigenous perspective. What the subheading suggests is that the history of the Kusas, the Kusasis, is an original viewpoint. An original viewpoint of the Kusasis or on the Kusasi people by the Kusasis. Indigenous perspective. That's an original. It is not about, you said white men wrote your history for you, or Mamprosis wrote your history for you, or somebody wrote your history for you. It is indigenous. It is original. So that is the meaning of the title of this book, The Kusas and Indigenous People. So what the authors are trying to tell us, or what it implies, is that the authors are presenting an insightful or unconventional analysis of the Kusasis. Insightful or unconventional analysis of the Kusasis, one that demonstrates unique approach or sharp thinking, because they are telling their own story about themselves, where they came from to be where they are, and all that, their culture and everything. Now, if I want to give it a little interpretation, or if I want to add some interpretation to the title, this is what I think, or these are my interpretation. The authors might be revealing less discussed truth about their history, culture, and politics. The authors, the contributors, the Kusasis might be revealing in this book, they might be revealing to us less discussed truth about their history. In other words, certain things about them, certain facts about them that we don't know or are not heavily discussed. So they are revealing that in this book to us. My second interpretation is that they are offering a strategic analysis, such as their identity, or let me put it this way, how their identity was shaped. They are providing a strategic analysis, such as how their identity, the Kusas identity, was shaped or leveraged historically. You see, we all know them to be Kusasis, until 10 years, should I say, yeah, about 10 years ago, when they started describing themselves as Kusas. You see? So my interpretation about the title or the work of the authors, if I may put it that way, is to strategically offer an analysis of how the Kusas identity was shaped. Number 3, I also think that the authors or contributors, as they call them, are challenging common narratives about the Kusasis in a brilliant way in this book, a thought-provoking way. They are challenging common narrative. What Sam might have said about them, the inaccuracies in this book, or some of the inaccuracies in this book about them. Some of the things that the Mamprusis said about their history, the authors may be challenging those common narratives about Kusas in a brilliant and thought-provoking way in this book. Ladies and gentlemen, last but not the least, it could be all of the above. All of the above. My dear brothers and sisters. Now, we now have a clearer picture of the title. We now have an idea about what might have given them, the authors, or what might have been their motivation regarding the title or even the entire content of this book. Now, how did this book started. What is the history behind this book? What is the history behind this book? Now, this is where I'm going to start telling you what is told us in this book. So the history of this book is in this book. So according to the Kusasis authors of this book, the contributors of this book, they said the idea to have this book, to tell the Kusasis story by the Kusasis themselves, that is to own their own story, to own their story. The idea to own their story and document it and tell it started in 2019. Then a year later, in 2020, officially, they started doing the necessary groundwork. They started writing their history. Five years later from the inception of the idea, or you may say 4 years after, or 4 years since the official starting of the writing of this book, long and short of the story, 2024, the book was published. So this book, it took them 4 years to publish this book. And guess what? It took 8 brilliant Kusasis, 8 brilliant Kusasis with big titles, professors, doctors, and all that. It took them 4 years to take their time, do their research, do their interviews and whatever, and came out with this book. 4 years. 4 years. So this book is very, 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 very significant to the Kusasi cause. Now, another part of the history is that, in fact, it was 7 individuals who came out with the idea. 7 individuals. 7 individuals. And all the 7 individuals, all the 7 Kusasis, individuals who came out with the idea that, listen, we need to write our own history, our own story. These 7 individuals are all based in United Kingdom. So when they came out with the idea, and then they were able to get their fellow brothers who will be writing the Kusasis history, the 8 brilliant Kusasi sons and daughters. These 8 individuals, that is the authors, they also collaborated with Kusasi academics, religious leaders, public servants, and other people in Ghana, according to them, to tell the Kusasi story. You see, this is the foundation of what we'll be discussing. So that is why I want us to appreciate this work. It is when you appreciate this work that you can appreciate the solution, which is that is, you cannot become a chief without a proof of owning a land. So now it is also significant to highlight notable persons that is also highlighted in this book. I'm just telling you what I read in this book. I'm not making any stories myself. In this book, they highlighted, let me put it that way, they mention a couple of significant Kusasis who contributed one way or the other in the Kusasis history. And guess what? One of those person is the late John Ndebugri. And of course, Sule Agolisi. And of course, George Agbango, to mention but a few. According to the Kusasis authors, they said these three individuals, among others, now let me quote their own words, said, provided their constructive reviews to give the Kusasi narrative the quality it deserves. Ndebugri, Sule Agolisi, George Agbango, and they also gave their reviews. Constructive reviews to give the necessary quality that this book deserves. So don't joke about the solution that I'm talking about in this book. My dear brothers and sisters. Now, who are the authors? I'm going to give you their names and their hometowns. Again, it is provided in this book. I'm just sharing to you what I read. I didn't do anything. I'm just sharing to you what I read. So we have one James Azuma. He is one of the contributors. I keep using the word authors. One of the authors of this book. He is from a village called Sapalugu. Then we have Aisatu Abubakar. She is from Zos. Then we have George Amadu. He is from Bugri. Then Angela Azuma Alu. She is from Binduri. We have Tio Brema. He is from Zabugu. Mark Akurugu. He is from Tili. Anthony Agoswin. He is from Pusiga. Dent Aaron Asibi. He is from Gbagiri. He is from Gbagiri. Aaron is the one who said history is about facts. You cannot just take pen and paper and say you are writing history. It's about facts, right? So the Kusasi facts about their history is here. And one of them, the one who said history is about facts, is a contributor of this book. Now, guess what? There is no Kusasi from Bawku who made it to the list of contributors of this book. There is no Kusasi from Bawku, and I repeat, there is no Kusasi from Bawku who made it to the list of writing the Kusasi's own story. My dear brothers and sisters, it is also my hope that I will do some research about these 8 towns, and villages. If time permits, one day as we go on with this program, I may tell you about Sapalugu. I may tell you about Zoas. I may tell you about Bugri, Binduri, Zabugu, Tili, Puzga, and Bagbiri. My dear brothers and sisters. Now, we are about to end tonight's program and then continue tomorrow. I think tomorrow I'll be available to continue with this program. Now, the way I have structured this program, I want to conclude tonight. I'm considering tonight as part 1. So I'm going to conclude part 1 by going back to this book to explain this book so that you will appreciate this book more. Let me repeat. I'm going back to this book written by Syme to explain this book so that you will appreciate this book more. Now, in 1930, let me see if I've not. Before I conclude, the forward of this book is written by Professor Amadou Ayibo. Professor Amadou Ayibo. And this is how Professor Amadou described this work. And I'm quoting him. Talking about the authors, he said, outstanding group who are well qualified to tell the Kusasis narrative. The 8 names that I mentioned as authors of this book. Professor Amadou Ayibo described them, and I quote, as outstanding group who are well qualified to tell the Kusasis narrative. So there is no doubt among the Kusasis that the authors of this book have the credibility, the knowledge, the skill to write about the Kusasis. My dear brothers and sisters, and if you will recall, when this book was launched, Cletus Avoka and co, all of them were there. They were part of the launching of this book. So this book is, see, I'm just taking my time to go through this today to let you and to help to let you appreciate what information I'm going to share from this book beginning tomorrow. That's why I'm taking my time to go through all this. In other words, if you choose to miss Voice of Mampurugu program about this book, well, you can only blame yourself. Now, let me repeat what I said a few seconds ago. I said I'm going to reference something in this book written by Syme to explain this book written by the Kusasis so that you will appreciate this book. Now, let me quote Syme in his foreword. Syme said, "It is with trepidation that I let this small work leave my hands at all. It is with trepidation that I let this small work leave my hands at all. For I know it is very incomplete. For I know it is very incomplete. And no doubt full of inaccuracies. And no doubt full of inaccuracies. However, if it serves a useful purpose by providing foundation upon which more capable people than I can build up the true facts, I shall feel that the hours spent upon it were not altogether wasted. 93 years ago. 93 years ago. That Sam wrote this about the Kusasis. And in this book, he said what I just read to you. Now let me decode it. Let's take the first sentence. He said, "It is with trepidation that I let this small work leave my hands at all." What does he mean by that? It means that when you take the word trepidation, which could mean anxiety or being nervous and all that. So it means that Sam was telling himself and all of us, anybody who will be reading this book, and more particularly the one who instructed him to write this book, his superior. He was saying, he was pouring it out. He was just pouring it out genuinely, that it is with trepidation that I let this small work leave my hand at all. In other words, Sam was nervous. He was feeling uneasy about releasing his work to others. Sam was nervous about releasing his work. He was nervous. Now you ask yourself, why was Sam nervous? Why was he feeling uneasy? Why was he uncomfortable? Sam provided the answer. He said what? For I know it is very incomplete. You know, the history about the Kusasis that he wrote here, and what he said about Bawku and what he said about the Mamprusis, all that. He know this work is incomplete. But that is not the only thing that is making him nervous. He went further to say that, and no doubt full of inaccuracies, no doubt. He said, I have no doubt this my work is full of inaccuracies. That is the honesty in Sam that I appreciate. And that is because of the honesty in Sam that I love this book. Sam did not pretend that everything in this book is 100% factual. So inaccuracies here probably means it contains errors and mistakes. In essence, before I go to the last paragraph, in essence, Sam was reluctantly sharing his work. He was aware that it is unfinished and potentially flawed. But doing so anyway, perhaps he felt compelled or obligated. And indeed, Sam was compelled. If you know the history of this book, Sam was compelled to put the history of the Kusasis together in 1932. Now, the last paragraph, he said, despite the fact that his work is incomplete, despite the fact that no doubt it is full of inaccuracies, but he said, and again here I love Sam, he said, however, if it serves a useful purpose by providing foundation upon which more capable hands than I can build up the true facts, I shall feel that the hours spent upon this book were not altogether wasted. So this was in 1932, 93 years ago. This was published in 2024. So 8 Kusasis, whom probably Sam, we can say, or we can refer to them as capable people than Sam. When he referred, he said, build up the true facts, provided the foundation. So this book provided the foundation for this. If you read this book, whether the Kusasis will admit it or not, even though it is not admitted in this book, but trust me, the foundation of this book is this. So Sam said, this book, he's hoping that this book will be useful by providing the foundation for more capable people than him to build up with the true facts. How? By publishing their own history. So it is no more about Sam history about Kusasis. We are now talking about Kusasi history about Kusasis, ladies and gentlemen. So on that note, as I indicated, we may refer to the 8 contributors, the 8 authors of this book, as the people that Sam prayed for, that one day, they would build up with the true facts about the Kusasi people. And today, we have the true facts about the Kusasi people in this book. And beginning tomorrow, I'll be sharing with you some of the true facts. We shall be dealing with chapter 1 of this book tomorrow at the same time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for your time. God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.